I did not make a mistake because I chose the path of the right path in marriage, but I did not choose with my mind nor with my heart. I chose a woman who accepted my circumstances. Over time, I realized that she had tied herself to me to escape her broken home after her parents' divorce. This is where my suffering began, without even realizing it. She was never a real wife. She was a predatory hunter. She married me only for the children, and nothing more. Then she became my sworn enemy. She created problems to destroy the home, and I suffered, always putting the children first. Today she left home, and for the first time I made a decision not to look for her. I hope to reach the stage of healing, to start my life over again, and I need your support.
What we've just heard is, well, it's a really profound expression of pain. In this explainer, we're going to move beyond the surface of this broken covenant and use a psychological lens to understand its architecture. Our goal here isn't to judge, not at all. It's to uncover the universal lessons on trauma, choice, and those first courageous steps toward healing that reside within this very personal story. So let's start with the suffering. The words in this story describe so much more than just a separation, right? They point to a painful internal rupture, the shattering of deeply held hopes, and that awful realization that years of endurance didn't actually lead to a better outcome. And that's really the heart of it. To understand where the deepest pain is coming from, you have to look beyond the loss of the person. The core wound, so often, is the loss of the illusion, that deeply held belief that if you just endure, if you just suffer a little longer, it will all work out. When that belief finally collapses, the experience can be profoundly disorienting.
So let's explore how the mind processes this level of hurt. When we're faced with an overwhelming emotional wound, our brain's primary job is just to make sense of it. And a really common coping mechanism is to simplify the narrative, to create a clear story of a victim and a villain.
The language here is so telling. Predatory hunter. I mean, this isn't just an insult, it's a symptom of immense pain. It actually reveals the mind's attempt to categorize and contain a hurt that feels completely boundless and chaotic. This is a classic psychological defense mechanism. The pain is just so intense that the mind polarizes the entire situation. The other person becomes the single identifiable source of all the suffering. It's a way to give the pain a name and a shape to make it feel manageable, even if it isn't an objective reflection of the whole relationship. And right here, we see the escalation of that polarization. The partner transforms from a complex person into a simple concept, an enemy. This kind of narrative is a really powerful tool the psyche uses to organize overwhelming feelings of betrayal and loss. Now, I want to be really clear about this. Explaining this psychological process doesn't invalidate the suffering. The pain is absolutely real and legitimate. But understanding this mechanism of polarization is the first step in moving beyond a narrative of blame and into a space where genuine healing can actually begin. To truly understand this kind of breakdown, we have to look deeper. We have to go back to the relationship's origin story. We really need to examine the unseen forces that drove these two individuals together in the first place. The story itself poses this vital question. If the choice of a partner wasn't a conscious one, made from a place of clarity or genuine emotional connection, then what was driving it? So often the answer lies in an individual's unaddressed needs, their fears, and their past wounds. And this illustrates a pretty common dynamic. One person's choice might be driven by a need for stability, looking for someone who simply fits their circumstances. The other, like we see in the story, might be seeking an escape from their own family trauma, mistaking the idea of marriage for a safe harbor. You see, when two people enter a commitment from a place of unresolved trauma instead of emotional wholeness, the relationship really struggles to become a space for mutual growth. Instead, it can become an arena where old wounds are reenacted and past battles are fought over and over again. This brings up another painful point. When a person consistently suppresses their own needs and pain for the sake of the children or for the sake of the family, that pain doesn't just go away. It accumulates. It can transform into a deep, internal resentment that erodes your well-being and ultimately the very family foundation you're trying so hard to protect. But then, amidst all of this pain and confusion, a turning point happened. A single decision that changed the entire dynamic. And this wasn't an act of giving up. It was a pivotal moment of self-preservation. This is the climax of the story. For the first time. That phrase tells us everything. It signifies a break from a long-standing pattern of pursuing, of fixing, of enduring. This decision is the true beginning of the recovery journey.
So, in this context, what is a boundary? Well, it's not about punishment, and it's not a sign of weakness or failure. Setting a boundary is a courageous first step towards self preservation. It's a declaration that your own inner peace and well being finally matter. So, what happens next? That moment right after a separation is incredibly delicate. It's often this confusing mix of shock and sometimes liberation. Navigating this stage really requires intention and a whole lot of self compassion. Navigating this fragile time involves a few crucial, actionable steps. First, it's really wise to allow time for the emotional dust to settle before making any major life changes. Second, you have to consciously work to stop replaying arguments. This is about ending the internal war, not just the external one. Third, focus on grounding yourself physically. Think sleep, nutrition, and movement, because the body holds on to an immense amount of stress. And finally, connect with others. Healing should not be a solitary journey. It's so important to remember that reaching out for support, whether it's to friends, family, or a professional, is not a sign of failure. It is a profound sign of strength. It signifies that you are ready to heal and to step into a new, healthier chapter of your life. And ultimately, the final shift in the healing journey happens when the focus moves from external blame to internal curiosity. Now, this isn't about taking responsibility for another person's actions. It's about empowerment. It's about understanding your own patterns so you can build a different future. And that is where true healing resides.